All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning, I'm Sunil Verma and with me is Saira Mujtaba. The headline: Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs meeting of Cabinet Committee on Security following recent developments in Afghanistan. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar holds discussions with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Afghanistan to chair two high-level events of the United Nations in New York. UNHRC to hold special session next week on situation in Afghanistan to address human rights concerns after the Taliban takeover. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari says new scrappage policy will boost growth of automobile sector and help bring down air pollution. India records 572% growth in grants on patents in last 7 years. Over 56 crore vaccine doses administered so far under nationwide vaccination drive. National recovery rate improves to 97.51%. In Bihar, Panchayat elections to be held in 11 phases from 24th September to 12th December. In West Bengal, Belur Math, the headquarters of Ramakrishna Mission, to be opened for devotees and visitors from today. IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav launches Amrit Mahotsav Shri Shakti Challenge 2021 to encourage technology solutions developed by women entrepreneurs. National Investigation Agency arrests two women operatives of the banned terror group ISIS. Odisha government extends its sponsorship of Indian national hockey teams by another 10 years. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is going on, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and also help others get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events is being organized by the government as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav to commemorate the occasion as a Jan Utsav. All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. The quiz will be conducted on every Monday and Tuesday in Morning News till 15th of August 2022.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Recalling our yesterday's question, what was the name of an all-women regiment set up in Azad Hind Fauj? The correct answer is Rani of Jhansi Regiment. The regiment, formed in July 1943, was among the first of its kind anywhere in the world. It was led by Lakshmi Sehgal, with volunteers from the expatriate Indian population in Southeast Asia. The unit was named after Lakshmi Bai, Rani of Jhansi. AIR News got an overwhelming response from its listeners across the world, and the one lucky winner of the quiz is Akash Sharma from Rampur in Uttar Pradesh. The next question of Amrit Mahotsav quiz will be shared with the listeners on Monday, 23rd of August. Celebrate 75 years of India's independence by participating in Amrit Mahotsav quiz with AIR News. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Security last evening. Official sources said the situation in Afghanistan was discussed in the meeting. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Home Minister Amit Shah, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, Principal Secretary to Prime Minister Dr. P.K. Mishra, National Security Advisor Ajit Dubhal, Cabinet Secretary Rajiv Gauba and Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla attended the meeting.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is in New York to chair two high-level events of the United Nations, held discussions with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Afghanistan. Dr. Jaishankar tweeted, "Good to meet UN Secretary General. Our discussions focused on Afghanistan following upon the Security Council meeting," he added. The first event will be an open debate today on protecting the protectors, technology and peacekeeping. The second event to be held tomorrow will be a high-level briefing on threats to international peace and security caused by terrorist acts. His visit to New York comes during India's presidency of the United Nations Security Council. The open debate on peacekeeping will focus on the theme of protecting the protectors, including through the use of modern technological tools to enhance the safety and security of peacekeepers and to aid peacekeeping missions. India, in collaboration with the UN, would be rolling out the Unite Aware platform, which is a situational awareness software program that allows a peacekeeping operations center to visualize and analyze the ground situation in a conflict zone on a real-time basis. An MOU between India and the UN in support to the Partnership for Technology in Peacekeeping initiative is expected to be signed during the visit. Tomorrow, the External Affairs Minister would preside over a briefing session on the 6-monthly report of the UN Secretary General on the threat posed by Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant under the agenda item, Threats to International Peace and Security Caused by Terrorist Acts. During this visit, Dr. Jaishankar will also have bilateral meetings with foreign ministers of other member states on the sidelines of these UNSC high-level events.
India has rushed home its ambassador and staff from the embassy in Kabul in a C-17 Globemaster aircraft of the Indian Air Force in view of the situation in Afghanistan. 150 people, including diplomats, officials, security personnel and some stranded Indians, landed at the Hindon Air Base near Delhi last evening after a brief halt for refueling at Jamnagar in Gujarat. Talking to media persons at Jamnagar, the Indian ambassador to Afghanistan, Rudrendra Tandon, said the situation in Kabul is complex and quite fluid now. He said 192 personnel of the Indian mission in Kabul were evacuated from Afghanistan literally within 3 days in a very orderly fashion in 2 phases. He said the Indian embassy assisted and even gave shelter to many distressed Indians following the fast-changing situation in Kabul. He expressed gratitude for the warm welcome by the people at Jamnagar Air Base. In Afghanistan, Taliban co-founder Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar has returned to the country from Qatar. His return comes amid reports that he is likely to become the new president of Afghanistan. Baradar is the second senior-most leader in the Taliban hierarchy after Hebatullah Akhundzada. Meanwhile, the U.S. has said that over 1,000 Americans have been evacuated from Afghanistan on 13 U.S. military flights yesterday. In total, more than 3,200 Americans have been flown back so far. In addition to this, nearly 2,000 Afghan nationals had also been relocated to the U.S. Meanwhile, the U.S. State Department has reportedly issued a notice to American nationals waiting to be evacuated from Afghanistan to reach Kabul airport. The United Nations Human Rights Council is to hold a special session next week on the situation in Afghanistan to address serious human rights concerns after the Taliban takeover, a United Nations statement said yesterday. The Geneva Forum is set to convene on the 24th of this month at the request of nearly 90 other countries supporting the move, it said. Convening a special session requires support from 1/3 of the Council's 47 member states. Backers so far include members Britain and France, but not China or Russia, while the United States was not among supporting countries with observer status, a provincial UN list showed. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people in the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio on the 29th of this month. It will be the 80th episode of the monthly radio program. The Prime Minister has invited people to share their ideas on topics he should address on the coming episode of the program. People can share their views in the Namo app or MyGov Open Forum. They can also dial the toll-free number 1-800-117800. and record their message for the Prime Minister in either Hindi or English. The phone lines will remain open till 27th of August. People can also give a missed call on 1922 and follow the link received in SMS to directly give their suggestions to the Prime Minister.
Union Minister for Road Transport and Highways, Nitin Gadkari, has said that vehicle scrappage policy is a win-win policy for all stakeholders and for the country. Addressing the media on key issues related to the policy last evening in New Delhi, Mr. Gadkari said the policy will help bring down air pollution, which is a major concern for all. He said the policy will boost the growth of automobile sector, export, and will bring competitiveness. The minister said the government wants to set up at least one scrapping centre and fitness centre in every district of the country. However, more such centres can be opened in big cities. He said the centres will generate more employment opportunities for the youth.
फिटनेस सेंटर और स्क्रैपिंग सेंटर ये बड़े प्रमाण पर खोलकर हम लोगों को रोजगार देना चाहते हैं। एयर पोल्यूशन, वाटर पोल्यूशन और साउंड पोल्यूशन ये हमारे 3 बिग कंसर्न है। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने पेरिस अकॉर्ड पर साइन करने के बाद अब हम 38% हमारी पावर ग्रीन पावर है। अब हम एनर्जी सेक्टर में ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन बनाने की बात कर रहे हैं। हमारे देश का अभी इंपोर्ट बिल 8 लाख करोड़ का है पेट्रोलियम का, और ऐसा ही चलता रहेगा तो 5 साल के बाद वो 15 लाख करोड़ का होगा।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, during the Investor Summit in Gujarat on the 13th of this month, launched the National Automobile Scrappage Policy and said that the policy will give a new identity to the auto sector and to the mobility of New India.
India has recorded 572% growth in grant of patents in the last 7 years. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal said that 28,391 patents were granted in 2020-21 as compared to 4,227 grants during 2013-14. He said the centre will impart training to 10 lakh students on intellectual property rights matters in this Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The Commerce and Industry Minister yesterday conferred the National Intellectual Property Awards at a virtual event in New Delhi. Speaking on the occasion, the minister said, "Today, technology and ideas are the twin engines of growth, and intellectual property rights, IPR, is a fuel that powers them."
Today, technology and ideas are the twin engines of growth. In fact, IPR is the fuel that powers growth, that powers the future of a country. I would like to urge each of the winners and stakeholders to also give us some guidance how we can further inculcate the spirit of inquiry, the inquisitiveness that should be there in every child coming out of college, every young boy or girl in the country. And how can we further improve the work of our Copyright and IP Office?
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs meeting of Cabinet Committee on Security following recent developments in Afghanistan. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar holds discussions with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Afghanistan to chair 2 high-level events of the United Nations in New York. UNHRC to hold special session next week on situation in Afghanistan to address human rights concerns after the Taliban takeover. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari says new scrappage policy will boost growth of automobile sector and help bring down air pollution. India records 572% growth in grants on patents in last 7 years. Over 56 crore vaccine doses administered so far under nationwide vaccination drive. National recovery rate improves to 97.51%. In Bihar, Panchayat elections to be held in 11 phases from 24th September to 12th of December. In West Bengal, Belur Math, the headquarters of Ramakrishna Mission, to be opened for devotees and visitors from today. IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav launches Amrit Mahotsav Shri Shakti Challenge 2021 to encourage technology solutions developed by women entrepreneurs. National Investigation Agency arrests 2 women operatives of the banned terror group ISIS. Odisha government extends its sponsorship of Indian national hockey teams by another 10 years. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
The Health Ministry said over 56 crore vaccine doses have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. India reported 25,166 new cases in the last 24 hours, which is the lowest in 154 days. The active caseload is currently at 3,69,846. The national recovery rate is currently at 97.51%, the highest since March last year. In Bihar, the elections to the three-tier Panchayati Raj institutions will be held in 11 phases from the 24th of September to 12th of December this year. The decision was taken at State Cabinet meeting, which was chaired by Chief Minister Nitish Kumar. The PRI bodies of Gram Panchayats, Panchayat Samitis and Zilla Parishads had to be constituted by 15th of June this year, but the elections could not be held due to COVID pandemic. The State Election Commission will issue the notification on 24th of August to hold the elections to the single posts of Mukhiyas, Sarpanchs, Zilla Parishad members, Panchayat Samiti members and ward members. The elections are to be held on 24th and 29th of September, 8th, 20th and 24th of October, 3rd, 15th, 24th and 29th of November and 8th and 12th of December this year.
In West Bengal, Belur Math, the headquarters of the Ramakrishna Mission, will be opened for devotees and visitors from today, following improvement in the COVID situation. It will remain open from 8 to 11 in the morning and 4 to 5:45 in the evening. Visitors entering the Math need to produce a photocopy of COVID vaccination certificate of 2 doses or COVID negative certificate of the test conducted within the last 72 hours, along with identity cards such as Aadhaar, PAN or voter card. They have to follow all COVID guidelines inside the premises. However, visits to the old shrine and Swami Vivekanand's room and prasad distribution will remain suspended. Bathing in the Ganga is also not permitted. Ramakrishna Museum will also remain closed. Gujarat recorded 17 new cases of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. According to the State Health Department, the recovery rate has remained 98.76%. More from our correspondent.
22 patients recovered and discharged from the various hospitals during the last 24 hours in Gujarat. Total 8,14,956 patients have been recovered from COVID-19 in Gujarat till now. Maximum 5 new cases reported from Ahmedabad, while Surat recorded 4 new cases. No death was reported due to COVID-19 in the state yesterday. Meanwhile, 5,92,708 people have been vaccinated in Gujarat yesterday. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
Union Minister for Electronics and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnav, yesterday launched the Amrit Mahotsav Shri Shakti Challenge 2021 to encourage technology solutions developed by women entrepreneurs that facilitate women's safety and empowerment. The aim is to empower women to help them achieve their full potential. Speaking at the Startup Women Entrepreneurs Awards function virtually, the minister hoped for the enthusiastic participation in the Shri Shakti Challenge. Talking about the entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystem in the country, Mr. Vaishnav said that the number of incubators and accelerators, which is around 100 at present, is not sufficient for a country of over 130 crore population. He said the government will be scaling up the network of incubators and accelerators to phenomenally multiple levels in the next 3 years.
Azadi Ka Safar every day with All India Radio from Monday the 16th of August. As part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, News Services Division of All India Radio brings to you the story of glorious struggle and sacrifices of freedom fighters on 100.1 FM Gold channel in the English news bulletins at 8:30 a.m., 2 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. Stay tuned.
And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
आजादी का सफर with AIR News. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day. In today's episode, we will try to recreate some aspects of Netaji's life. On this day in 1945, it was reported that the plane in which Netaji was travelling had crashed near Taihoku Airport in Taiwan, and he reportedly succumbed to injuries in a nearby Japanese military hospital. Let's unravel the momentous life of one of the bravest personalities of Indian freedom struggle.
Subhash Chandra Bose, endearingly called Netaji, was born on 23rd January 1897 in Cuttack. He graduated from the Calcutta University in 1919 and cleared Indian Civil Services exam in 1921. That a tiger cannot be caged for too long, the free-spirited Bose resigned from civil services upon being encouraged by Chittaranjan Das to work for his country's freedom than to be a slave of the British. Bose supported Swaraj and was also of the opinion that freedom is not given, it is taken. So he devised a strategy to free the motherland from the clutches of the foreigners. And there was no looking back.
At the start of the Second World War in 1939, he initiated a mass movement under which he started uniting people from all over the country. Since there was a massive response to his call, Bose was immediately arrested by the British. While under house arrest, he planned his dramatic escape. Bose grew a beard and left his house dressed as a Pathan so that the British could not identify him. On the night of January 19, 1941, Bose first went to Bihar and then via Peshawar, Kabul, Moscow and Rome finally reached Germany, where he met Hitler. He set up a Free India Center in Berlin and started the Azad Hind Radio.
This is Subhash Chandra Bose speaking to Indians in East Asia. My countrymen in East Asia, while I am in Tokyo, I desire to address a few words to you, and I have no doubt that you will give them due consideration.
In 1943, Bose left for Southeast Asia to continue the fight for freedom. He revived the Indian National Army. Netaji named the regiments of INA after Gandhi, Nehru, Maulana Azad. There was also an all-women regiment named after Rani of Jhansi, Lakshmibai. Under Netaji's leadership, INA drew prisoners of war and thousands of civil volunteers. Bose wished to free India with the help of Japanese forces by fighting together against the British Empire. When British forces captured the Malay Peninsula, Bose chose not to surrender and planned to continue the fight from Manchuria with the aim to get support from Soviet Union. While going to Manchuria, his plane crashed.
There is a controversy regarding the death of Bose. The Japanese aircraft in which Netaji was travelling on 18th August 1945 crashed, and Bose reportedly suffered severe burns. According to some reports, he died in a nearby Japanese hospital. It is believed that his body was cremated and his ashes were interred in the Renkoji temple in Tokyo, though there is a dispute if the ashes interred in the temple are indeed his. This has given rise to many theories that Bose may have survived the crash. Bose was described as patriot of patriots by Gandhiji. His voice continues to instill patriotism.
I do not know how many of us who are going to participate in the coming battles will survive to see India free. But whether we survive or not, whether we individually live to see India free or not, we are confident that India shall be free.
18th August is also the birth anniversary of Vijay Lakshmi Pandit. She was a politician and diplomat who holds the distinctions of being the first Indian woman to hold a cabinet post in pre-independent India and also the first woman president of the United Nations General Assembly. That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar, AIR News Ke Sang. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
National Investigation Agency yesterday arrested 2 women operators of the banned terror group ISIS. Mizha Siddiqui and Shifa Harris, residents of District Kannur in Kerala, were held for alleged involvement in running various propaganda channels on social media platforms to propagate its violent ideology and radicalize and recruit new members. The agency arrested them in connection with a suo motu case registered by the investigation agency under sections of the Indian Penal Code and the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act in March over terrorist activities of Muhammad Amin of Kerala and his associates, Amin and his associates were running various ISIS propaganda channels on different social media platforms such as Telegram, Hoop and Instagram. They were propagating the violent ideology of ISIS and radicalizing and recruiting new members for the ISIS module. Odisha government has extended its sponsorship of Indian national hockey teams by another 10 years. Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik announced this at a special function held to facilitate the Olympians of the national men's and women's hockey teams in capital Bhubaneswar yesterday. More from this report.
Announcing the extended sponsorship of the Indian men's and women's hockey teams by another 10 years, Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik said, Odisha and hockey are destined to become synonymous. He said, it will herald a new era of Indian hockey and bring back glory to the nation. Mr. Patnaik awarded 10 lakh rupees to each player and 5 lakh rupees to each support staff, besides 13 other awards in recognition of their historic win at the Tokyo Olympics. Speaking at the function, captain of the men's hockey team Manpreet Singh described Odisha as their home away from home and said the state is one of the biggest reasons behind their success at the Tokyo Olympics 2020. Earlier in the day yesterday, the Indian hockey teams arrived at the Bhubaneswar airport to a rousing welcome in an atmosphere that can in the least be described as euphoric. It is Chandra Das, AIN News, Bhubaneswar.
In Uttar Pradesh, the state government will table its first supplementary budget for the current financial year in the Legislative Assembly today. The government had tabled its general budget for more than 5,50,000 crore rupees in February this year. The brief 5-day monsoon session of the Uttar Pradesh Vidhan Mandal began yesterday. This is the second session of the Vidhan Mandal in 2021-22.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. India's new contacts with Taliban aid Kabul embassy evacuation, states the Tribune. 41 Keralites stranded in Kabul. Kerala government seeks centre's intervention, reports the Pioneer. The Cabinet Committee on Security meets on next steps. PM says need to assist Afghan brothers sisters, writes the Indian Express. Taliban vows to respect women's rights but within Islamic law, writes the Hindu. Reporting on the latest COVID-19 situation in the country, Hindustan Times writes, daily shots hit record as case slide continues. Record 88 lakh jabs in one day, 25,166 new cases, 437 die, notes the Asian Age, while the Statesman reports that new cases are the lowest in 154 days. 9 names cleared. India may get first woman Chief Justice of India in 2027, reports Hindustan Times. A projection by NASA reveals that Mumbai, Chennai and 10 other cities to see sea levels rise in 30 years, writes the Times of India. And finally, bottom 5 to top 4. Bihar leads in getting tap water to rural homes, reports the Indian Express.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs meeting of Cabinet Committee on Security following recent developments in Afghanistan. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar holds discussions with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Afghanistan to chair 2 high-level events of the United Nations in New York. UNHRC to hold special session next week on situation in Afghanistan to address human rights concerns after the Taliban takeover. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari says new scrappage policy will boost growth of automobile sector and help bring down air pollution. India records 572% growth in grants on patents in last 7 years. Over 56 crore vaccine doses administered so far under nationwide vaccination drive. National recovery rate improves to 97.51%. In Bihar, Panchayat elections to be held in 11 phases from 24th September to 12th December. In West Bengal, Belur Math, the headquarters of Ramakrishna Mission to be open for devotees and visitors from today. IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav launches Amrit Mahotsav Shri Shakti Challenge 2021 to encourage technology solutions developed by women entrepreneurs. National Investigation Agency arrests 2 women operatives of the banned terror group ISIS. Odisha government extends its sponsorship of Indian national hockey teams by another 10 years. With that, we end the morning news.